What's up? It's Brett from Brett's Train Videos. So you may have noticed I'm not out on the rails today. I'm here in my spooky basement because, well, got some things to talk about. First off, mustache, looking good. It is November 1st, 2025. And, well, if you've been a fan of the channel for the past 5 years, then you know that I always have a mustache for Movember. Very cool. I don't know, I just do it. Clean hair, showered, looked pretty just for this because, as I mentioned, 5 years. Well, that's a long time since I started my channel. Yeah, it's been 5 years. And in those 5 years, I've seen a lot of trains. Been up to Fort Wayne, CSX, NS, the Chicago line. In all of those years, we've never really done like a super long trip. You know, we've been up to Elkhart, done that a few times, actually going up in a few weeks, but we've never gone to a brand new location in a very long time. So I finally decided to do it. And as you can tell by the title of this video, went to Fostoria. My dad and I, we finally found a time that worked. TJ is off busy, so I was like, hey Dad, you want to go watch trains? And he was all for it. So we went up to Fostoria for a couple days, got up early on a Friday morning, went out on Friday, watched trains on Friday and Saturday, came back on Sunday. So super fun trip. We got to see some CSX trains, got to see some NS trains. We went to Deshler, Fostoria, and Bellevue. So kind of hit some of the things on our little Ohio trip. So that's what's happened, you know? So that's what we did. Finally made it out of the group chat, the talks. Only took 4 years for it to finally happen. So yeah, this is kind of the intro to day one, and then day two we'll probably just jump right into it. And so here's what we saw, here's what we did, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. Like I said, we were up early on that Friday morning to head on our way to Deshler. We arrived at Deshler, Ohio. The first thing on the list was an engine move coming off of the Chicago main line and taking the curve south. The engine was put on the head end of another train, or at least cars, and was tied down. I'm not exactly sure why this happened, but I guess dispatch had a plan with those cars for later. I had a quick stop to look at the color position lights that surround the diamonds. You don't see these very often anymore, but they are still burning to protect the diamond.
Yeah. So that's giving the same thing as what the radio is?
Yeah. Next, IO-10 came through Deshler with 2 GEVO engines up front. IO-10 is a high-priority train carrying intermodal freight from Bedford Park in Chicago to Port Newark, New Jersey, making stops in Syracuse, New York, and North Bergen, New Jersey to work. IO-10 is a high-priority train on CSX's Chicago line and will almost always get the green signal. Today's IO-10 had a cut of loads up front, a very large cut of empty spines in the middle, and more loads of containers on the end. It was a long train today. I didn't hear any detectors, but IO-10 took some time to pass today. I-192 came through shortly after I-010 with a couple of Union Pacific motors on the head end. I-192 uses run-through UP power out of Bedford Park, Illinois. The power comes from UP's IG-3SK train. I-192 is bound for North Baltimore, Ohio, CSX's large intermodal facility just about 20 minutes west of Deshler. We drove by it on the way to Fostoria. I-192's counterpart, I-191, will usually leave within a couple hours of I-192 arriving in North Baltimore with the same power from I-192. A couple of other foreign trains came into the yard with foreign power. Following behind 192 was B-158, led by a couple of rebuilt AC-44s. B-158 is coke empties from Curtis, Indiana, originating off Canadian National. The train is run as needed to Deshler, Pennsylvania. It always has a good mixture of gondolas and high-top gondolas, often labeled with Coke Express. Coke in this context refers to petroleum coke or pet coke. This coke is a carbon-rich material produced as a byproduct of oil refining. Coke is then used for lots of different things, but since it has a high heating point, pet coke is often used for steel production. Pet coke and coal are about the same things in terms of weight and looks, but the defining difference is what they are used for. Well, I guess that's what you get when you buy the cheapest tripod you can get on Amazon. RIP. We decided to make our way to Fostoria since the line was dead, and at the very least, heading to Fostoria would allow us to see Norfolk Southern traffic along with CSX's Chicago line. We saw CSX's North Baltimore intermodal ramp on the way, just across from a UPS facility. When we arrived in Fostoria, a CSX grain train was heading through town. This was all I got of it.
Left.
First up on the scanner was NS Dispatch yelling at a local.
If you're going to come on in at Meyer, run into courtyard number 3, all the way to the west end of the west of 3, and then talk to me. Do not come out on the lead until you talk to me, because I'm running other trains in from the west end over.
With my tripod broken, I was forced to resort to other means of using my other phone. I could have returned to my old video format of standing and recording the train, but I wanted to be better than that, so I tried my best. It didn't always work out, and that's okay. An NS local was first on the list for our time in Fostoria. One thing I will admit was that it was difficult to decipher which trains were coming. Yes, I had the scanner, but this was a new area to me, so I wasn't always sure if it was an NS or a CSX train. It also didn't help because I had my frequencies backwards. I had my NS frequencies labeled as CSX and my CSX frequencies labeled as NS. I did my best, but sometimes I got it wrong, like I did here when another Norfolk Southern local came and I was standing over by the CSX tracks. Cool. I got one right as CSX I-157 came rolling across the diamonds. I-157 comes out of Penn Mary Yard in Baltimore, Maryland, and works 7 yards on the way. Some stops including Greenwich Yard in Philadelphia, Selkirk Yard in New York, and North Baltimore, just west of town. While 157 was passing, I heard some chatter about a local that needed to do some work. I never got to see this local. I'm not sure if it was even in town anyways.
IPL 33910, 825, over. I'm trying to not take you to Columbus. Can you get stopped by East Fostoria, and if so, can I have your signal back there, over? Yeah. 171, I believe the things that you said, I had to bail for a second, but I'll give you that light as soon as the sky clears, over.
The Norfolk Southern side was a little bit easier to record because there were 2 light posts to rest my phone on. The moderate breeze was not in my favor, but at least I had some place to put my second phone. NS came rolling through with its own intermodal today, heading east. I did not hear a symbol for this train, but it had a large cut of foreign containers on the head end, probably NS 256. After the foreign containers, 2 more AC-44s showed up as a mid-train DPUs, leading a very large cut of domestic freight and a lot of JB Hunt containers. After the intermodal went through, NS had another one heading west, all auto racks. As NS was heading through, a CSX had a green light to go south on the old Chesapeake and Ohio rails, a 2-for-1 special. Yep. Sometimes you have stuff you regret. CSX M559 came past. The whole fence thing was not working out in the wind, so I tried placing my second camera on the ground for a terrible angle and a wasted video. Nonetheless, M559 still came through hauling its manifest train. M559 comes out of Willard, Ohio, bound for Cincinnati, stopping to work Lima, Dayton, and Hamilton. Today it had lots of open steel coil cars and other cars sprinkled in there. I-135 then came through the diamonds. I wasn't right by the tracks as it came through, so I had to do a little bit of walking. At least there was a Mac leader on the head end. I-135 runs from Kirby Yard in Suffolk, Virginia to 59th Street in Chicago, stopping to work Collier, Virginia, Cumberland, Maryland, and North Baltimore. I-135 was all foreign containers today, with 2 engines mid-train. CSX M558 was next in the mix to head east with an AC 44-liter and a new paint scheme on the ES44 trailing second. CSX M558 is 559's counterpart, running from Cincinnati, Ohio to Willard. There was a good mix of junk spread all throughout the train, but towards the end there was a decent cut of flat cars and other cars with heavy metal beams on them. Next up was our first southbound of the day. I did not catch a symbol for this one, but CSX 951 led a train south off the old Chesapeake and Ohio rails and onto the ex-B&O tracks heading east. Norfolk Southern appeared in the mix with a couple of westbound trains. On the far track, a grain train came hauling through the diamonds, NS55Z. The next train was also heading west on track 2. Technically a train race, but I think we all know which one is winning. Two Canadian National General Electric ES44 ACs were notched up for this long train.
too.
Our last train of day one comes from another southbound, this time heading east. We stationed ourselves at the curve and waited for it. It took forever, but eventually the final engine came into view. CSX 1871, the Atlantic Coastline Heritage Unit. I have seen this unit before, but I was wanting to wait on another Heritage Unit that was coming through eventually. That one went through several hours later. M511 has 4 engines up front and no DPUs. One thing I hate about rail fanning by curves is the screeching sound from the metal wheels rubbing against the metal rails. It's loud and irritating. My rant aside, M511 was a long one today. I didn't hear a detector, but I guess he's more than 500 feet. Right behind the engines was a cut of old New York Central coil cars with no coils or tops on them. This was very interesting to me. Then you have the general mixed freight, followed by another large cut of empty coil cars with the New York Central markings on them. M511 runs from Detroit to Cincinnati, so maybe the counterpart M510 carries loaded coils up there, and M511 bring the coil cars back. After M511, we went back to our hotel to rest for the evening.